Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is Pops Reviews coming at you with but not a review just of yet, but just a bit of an overview of a game that I finished painting, and this is called Aristeia by Corvus Belli. So here's the box here. Aristeia, the ultimate sports show. So this is a cool game. I haven't really got a chance to run it. That's why it's not a proper review. But it's a game of, you have a team of four characters that are on the board against the other player. It's a two-player game. So you have a team of four characters against the other guy's team of four characters. And as you look at the board, there are zones numbered. So this is now zone 5, and then zone 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's a central zone. So you'll have an objective to try and score possibly first in the middle zone here, and then there is an underdog person who decides if they've lost the zone, and usually to capture a zone is just by having not you're supposed to have more characters in the zone than the other player, but certain scenario, it just depends on the scenario, but usually you try and have more characters in the zone than the other player. It could be 1 and he has none, or 2 to 1, and then you score points by having more players in that zone. And then once the other player has lost the zone, then they usually get to decide what the next scoring zone is. So if this was already captured, this middle zone here, by my opponent, then I would say, okay, well, I'm going to go for number 3 because nobody has any players in the zone, and then I might have a better chance to capture this, maybe save this zone 4 for later. And yeah, each character is really different. They all are, have their powers and that. So I painted all these. So I just wanted to kind of show you my painted jobs here, and maybe a description briefly about each character. So here we have Hexer. So let me see if you can see Hexer. Let me try and focus in on her. So she is like kind of like the witch. There we go. So she is kind of like the witch of Aristeia, where she could move people around and move objects on the board, and so she's good at and then displacing herself. So she's a weak character for health, but she's good at moving people around and that. And so someone like a big tank like Maximus, to get him, he's kind of slow. So maybe Hexer, you'd probably start her first to get him going. So that's Hexer, and then there's Pravati, who is kind of like the all-around character and the medic of the game. So that's Pravati. So she's good. She has a decent range weapon. And then there is Musashi. There's Musashi there. So he's the melee expert in the game. So once he's standing side by side a character, you do not want to have Musashi right beside you because he's super dangerous. Then you have Gata, and she's kind of the speedster. Let's just focus better. But she's kind of the speedster scorer of the game. The camera would focus better on her. Yeah, so there we go. Oh, there we go. So she's the speedster scorer of the game. She's the fastest person in the game with the highest initiative. So she's a really good character to have on your team. All these characters are good to have on your team. This is Major Luna. Get her into focus. But this character, she's the ranger on the team. She has the most range of like eight squares, rolling the most dice at 8 squares. There we go. So she's a really good character for range firing. And then you have Wild Bill, and he is good for mid-range, as well as each character has their own cards that they bring to the table. So there's Wild Bill. Come on, camera. But anyways, he's good at drawing tactics for your hand to make your hand better, as well as, kind of like he's a poker player kind of guy. So he's helping the cards out for your team as well. as he's a good mid-range shooter. So, and then there's obviously, here's 8 Ball. There you go, focus good on him right away. So he's a tanky kind of character, and he's able to do a lot of switching around and switching places with other characters to get into their zone. So he's really good at that with decent health. And then you have the star of the show, the tank of the game, Maximus. Focus in on Maximus. There we go. So yeah, so he's slow, but he's an armored kind of guy. He has a lot of health. He's able to protect his fellow co-players if they're beside him. He's able to take the attacks for them. So he's just a really, really tough character to get away from, and he's usually good to score in the zone where he's unmovable. So yeah, this game it's a decent game. Like I said, I haven't really tried it out. Hopefully, actually tonight I'll be able to play it with some guys at the club that I go to. But yeah, so to play this game, like each person has, you see there's an orange mat, and then there's a green mat here, and then this red part here is for when guys die, and then the green part here is for when they come back. And then each guy will have these mini cards. So here's Musashi's cards. So you have 4 of them because you control 4 characters. And then you will, before the game starts, you'll place characters on the edge of the scoring zones or inside the scoring zone, or just a neutral zone, I should say, before the game starts. And then the other opponent will be on the opposite side. So if I was on number 4 here, my opponent would be on number 1. And then you want to try, let's say if you want to score in the middle zone, so you'll place characters on the edge of the neutral zone that you control or inside the zone. And then you will place these cards down, face down on this mat. And this decides the order of how your characters will go into this round. So then your opponent does the same thing. And then you'll have, this is the round tracker, so it'll be round 1. And then all these characters will activate, and that will be the round. And then it'll go to the second round after all the characters have activated. So both players will flip their cards over at the same time. And then, so Musashi's he's initiative 6, and then let's say Major Luna was the other character, initiative. So she's at 5. So Musashi, because he's a 6, will get the initiative on her. And that player can decide if they want to go first, if they want Musashi to go first, or if they want Major Luna to go first. And it's a good tactical game. It goes back and forth. Then you turn over all the rest of the cards. And another thing, here's their. So this is how you know a character's health. I'm not going to go through all of them, but here's Musashi. So you see the 6. It shows his initiative. The boot is his speed. And then the lightning is his cost of how much energy he has. So to move him on the board, you'd have to pay 2 energy out of the 5 you have to be able to move him 5 spaces. And then the next stat is their body armor. So when when an attack is being attacked against them, this is the dice that you roll for the defense. The fist is his brawn. So if anyone tries to break away with the agility, which is the next category down below. So you'd roll your agility dice if you're adjacent to each other. So in this case, if he was rolling against himself, he would roll an orange and a yellow against the blue and the orange to try and break away. And then the stat with the shield, that's called a switch. That's called a switch power. So anytime you roll dice, and the dice have these special icons, they come like this here. Let me show you the dice here. I have them still in the pack, but yeah, so they have these special dice, and they have the different colors and icons, and if you roll these dice, then you're able to use the icons that are on the dice. You see the stars or the damage or the success. The shields are to block the success or the damage there. And then you have like an exclamation mark, and those are able to trigger off different abilities that they have that are called switches. So in this case here, for Musashi, So he has, for his switch, he has a shield. And then it says that add a damage to your roll against an adjacent target. So anytime he has a shield, he could add it as a success or a damage. So that's his switch or his like special trait. And then the red is his attack. The red, so it shows that he has to pay 3 energy costs. So if he moved for 2, he'd have 3 left, so he'd be able to attack. And then it shows the dice that he's rolling. And then the black with the 1-to-1 is how close he'd have to be. So he has to be 1 square away from his opponent. And then if he rolls and he gets those symbols on the actual attack roll, then he's able to get this extra text here to apply that. And then the orangey yellow stat is something that's an ability that he's always able to have or trigger. So and then the 4 at the corner at the top of the card there, that's his health. So with the heart. So yeah, and then another thing with each character, they usually bring you'll have a standard deck, a general deck of 10 cards that both you and your opponent have. And then for each character, they are able to bring 4 different cards that actually could help your team. And then you pick 2 of them out of the 4 for each character you have. And then after that, you'll add the 2 cards to your general standard deck of 10. So you'll make a deck of 18 cards. And then each player will draw 4 cards before the game starts. And so then you'll have a mix-up of the standard and special cards that your character brings. So here's a card that you could use for Musashi, one of his specialties. So it'll show at the bottom, it shows Musashi, Miyamoto Musashi, so you know that's his card that he brought, as opposed to a standard card that says standard on the bottom. Okay, and then each card will tell you, so it says the description of the move, Tsuchido, and then you're able to make the roll. So before making a roll, then you're able to add 4 or 3 black dice to the roll. So that'd be one card that he's able to bring, or another card is specific to him. So this is Kaze-do, and then see it says in the red text here with the red clock thing that says at that time during Miyamoto Musashi's activation. So this is only used for Miyamoto Musashi as opposed to the other card you can use for anybody. And then for Musashi, he'd be able to gain 3 movement points. Well, so that'd be crazy. That'd make him be able to get to wherever he has to go faster. He'd have, instead of a speed of 5, now he has a speed of 8. So that'd be crazy. He could really get up on someone and attack them or tie him up. And then another card he has is Sorado. So before the critical block and switches of an opponent's roll, that's when you would use it, and it would nullify one of the opponent's dice. So you'd be tying up one of the opponent's dice for that. And the last card he has is Mizido. During one of your character's activations, you gain 1 action point, which might be useful. It might be able to give him an extra attack. So see, you have 4 different choices. You would take 2 of those out of the 4 and add them to your deck, and then you'd hope you would draw them during some point in the match to help benefit him or another teammate. And so yeah, and then it goes for 5 rounds. Usually during the scenario, it's whoever gets to 8 victory points, either before 5 rounds, or if you get to 5 rounds, then you will, if you get to the 5 rounds, then whoever has the most victory points wins the game. If there's a tie in victory points, then whoever has killed these different characters on the board, they get points for doing that. And then that would be the tiebreaker. So you would get what's called a frag point. And then they'd be able to, once they kill a character, then they're able to actually draw an extra card. So that helps benefit your team as well. So you get the benefit of a frag token that might help break a tiebreaker, as well as an extra card to help your hand. So yeah, so this is a really good game. Like I said, I haven't really tried it out. I'm anxious to. Hopefully I get a chance to play it tonight, or at least demo it with some of the other guys at my gaming group. And yeah, so I don't know. This is so like I said, this is a bit of an overview of the game. I could hopefully give a proper review of it once I've played it, and I could give my final thoughts on it. But I've demoed this before and played a scenario, and a couple of guys they liked it, but they thought the scenario we played maybe wasn't. It was too maybe back and forth-ish where it was kind of set. So maybe if I play a different scenario tonight, I'll see how the game plays out a little more, and I can have my final thoughts. But I'm watching other people's videos, and from just the knowledge of the game, it looks to me it looks pretty good. I'm happy with it, and it looks like everyone has a chance, and every character you have like. In the booklet, you have set teams that they think are even that you start with, and then once you get to know the characters and know the game, then you could have a draft and draft your own team of 4, not necessarily what the book says, and so yeah, so that way you have different combinations, or maybe you don't like what your opponent, he might like a special character, so you might decide to take him if you draft him, or so. There's different ways to draft characters, play this game, different scenarios. So in that way, it keeps the game fresh. So I think, yeah. So like I said, I from seeing other people's reports, other people playing, they seem very happy with this game. And then of course, there's expansions with this game where you could add more characters. So there's usually boxes of 4 characters. So right now, this is the core box has 8. And then, you get another 4, then you got 12, and then, you get another box, now you got 16, so that 16 different guys to choose from already is a lot, especially with the core box with all the different combinations of characters you could have together of teams. I mean, no game will ever be the same. So even to add those boxes, it would be crazy. So, yeah, like I said, It's from what I've seen, it looks like a decent game. Maybe I'll do a review at a later time to give my thoughts on actually playing the game and what I thought of it. But for the most part, I love the game. From what I've seen, I mean, I bought it, painted up these guys here. So yeah, so hopefully you like this overview of Aristeia, and like I said, it's called The Ultimate Sports Show. And yeah, so if you have any questions or if you comments about the way I painted anybody or just gameplay and that sort of thing, just leave a comment. And yeah, so hopefully I'll be getting back to you soon with another video. So maybe possibly a review of this or something else. Okay, so again, thanks for watching and subscribing, and hopefully see you in the next video. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.